I adjusted my perch on the narrow outcropping of cobalt-hued rock overlooking the Bernarine Pass, the most direct way into Norna, the capital city of Seraphysis, and I waited. It is a truth galactically known that where there is something of worth, there are those who will do anything to acquire it, either through honest work or through thievery and violence. As a Jedi Master, I had seen this firsthand throughout my life. I had seen humans fight over ore on Grandak, and Hutts farm Glaca root on Jarrow with the help of massive labor forces. The farther I traveled across the galaxy, the more the axiom held true. And the work was rarely the issue. Which was why the Force had brought me to Seraphysis, a planet plagued by piracy. As a Wayseeker, I let the whims of the Force decide my next stop, or rather, J6's next stop, since the droid did much of the flying of the Quinteros. I disliked piloting on my own. Hyperspace had a way of pulling me into Force-powered visions, which were, more often than not, unwelcome. But with a droid co-pilot, I had managed to navigate the galaxy just fine. Spending the past few years doing everything from helping bring in the harvest on TK to corralling a bloom of fire lizards on Targusian. They were small, simple acts that just made life better for the inhabitants of their respective planets. For the people who benefited, they could be life-changing. That was the point. The tiniest of efforts, when applied in the correct place, could be magnified into huge gains. And that was why, during my tenure as a Jedi, I had returned time and again to being a Wayseeker. Spreading the light of the Jedi across the galaxy was the point of the Order. Yes, we could protect and defend those who could not help themselves, and that was always an honorable undertaking. But sometimes, it was best to just help out in whatever way a Jedi could. And so I traveled where the Force led me, all in the hope of making the galaxy a better place. This time, the Force had guided me to the otherwise peaceful planet of Seraphysis, which was currently plagued by pirates stealing rations. That was the reason I perched on an outcropping, looking out over the vast, azure-hued landscape, waiting for the sign of movement that would indicate it was time to act. For the past few months on Seraphysis, the strafes had been raiding the critical supply caravans that stocked the capital city of Norna, and it was beginning to have a real impact. Food was short, and if the marauders weren't stopped, the entire population would starve. The strafe's villainy was a slow, creeping poison, and one that had already been proven lethal as people wasted away to nothing. I had known none of this when I arrived on the planet. J6 and I had merely stopped on Seraphysis to refuel, and because I wanted to see its magnificent blue sands after hearing about them from a hauler who regularly delivered foodstuffs to the planet. During our layover, a worker at the dockyard had told me of the attacks and the threat of starvation incapacitating the capital. I had immediately gone to the mayor of Norna to offer my assistance, hastening my steps when I saw the lines of people waiting for rations. The sight of children crying, hungry, because there was too little to fill their bellies, would have moved anyone. But even without the obvious suffering, offering my assistance was just the right thing to do. I didn't outwardly subscribe to the common thought within the Order that the Jedi had to hold themselves separate from their emotions, neutral in a galaxy where most actions were anything but. Not that I was given to intense emotions, but the Jedi were of the galaxy. We belonged out and about in it. And I would never stand idly by while people were in pain, especially if there was something to be done about their suffering. So there I stood, on an outcropping above the narrow pass. The mayor's hand-picked security team stood a few meters behind me, watching me with a mixture of awe and wariness. Whether it was because I was a Jedi, or because I was a Mirialan, my green skin a far cry from the humans who made up the majority of the planet's population, and likewise the security team around me, I didn't know. I'd been told repeatedly that neither Jedi nor Mirialans made it very often to the far-flung corner of the galaxy that contained Seraphisis, a way of explaining away the distrustful glances and rude stares I had endured in my short time on the planet. But I also didn't care. I didn't need to make friends. I just had to help.